Come in. Settle down. Yes. Close the door behind you. The wind outside, it has teeth today. I was just looking at a watch, a very expensive one, solid gold, diamond encrusted, Swiss movement. The man who brought it in, he was very proud of it. He wanted everyone to see how much he was worth. He laid it on my bench like it was a trophy. But I looked into his eyes and I saw a man who was exhausted, hollow, like a shell. He had spent 10 years working a job he hated, 60 hours a week, missing birthdays, missing sunsets, just to buy a piece of metal that tells the same time as a cheap plastic one. When I asked him, "Does it make you happy?" he looked at me like I had asked him to explain the color blue. He didn't know. He had never stopped to ask himself. You see, in this workshop, I don't just see brass and steel. I see effort. I see the hours of a man's life, compressed, stored in a box, like coal becoming diamond. Most people, they think money is something you earn, like rain falling from the sky. But I tell you, money is just hours of your life that you can never, ever get back. Every dollar, every cent, it is a piece of your Tuesday afternoon or your Saturday morning, converted into paper and then into objects. When you spend money on something you don't need, to impress people you don't even like, people who won't remember your name in a year, you aren't spending paper, you are spending your heartbeat. You are giving away your Tuesdays, your Sunday mornings, the quiet moments before your children wake up, just for a shadow called status. And status, let me tell you, status is like smoke. You can see it, you can smell it, but you cannot hold it, and it disappears the moment the wind changes. I remember another customer, a young woman, maybe 30. She brought in her grandmother's watch. It was simple, scratched, the kind you find in a drawer, wrapped in tissue paper. But when she held it, her hands were shaking, like she was holding something sacred. She said, "My grandmother wore this every day for 40 years. She was a seamstress in the garment district. She made every stitch count because she knew time was the only thing she couldn't repair. When she died, this was the only thing I wanted. I fixed that watch for free. I polished the crystal. I oiled the movement. I made it tick again. And when I gave it back to her, she cried. Not because of the watch, but because I understood what she was really asking me to fix. She was asking me to bring back just a little piece of her grandmother's heartbeat. That watch, it cost almost nothing, maybe $20 when it was new, but it held more value than all the gold in this shop, because it held memory, it held love, it held time spent well. My father, he had a rule. He said, "Arthur, never be cheap with the things that separate you from the ground. Your shoes, your bed, your chair, your tools, the things you use every single day. Why? Because you spend your whole life in them, on them, with them. If you buy a cheap pair of shoes, they will break in a year. The sole will crack. The leather will tear. They will hurt your feet. They will make you tired, exhausted by 3 in the afternoon. Then you buy another pair, and another, and another. Each time telling yourself, these will be different, but they never are. In the end, you spend more money, and you suffer more pain, and you waste more time shopping for replacements instead of living your life. I have a pair of boots. I made them in 1955 with my own hands. Every stitch, every nail. I know them like I know my own feet. They are still here 70 years later. They fit me like a second skin, like a friend who knows exactly how I walk. There is a difference, you see, between being cheap and being careful. Being cheap is buying the thing that breaks and telling yourself you saved money. Being careful is buying the thing that lasts, even if it costs more at first, even if it hurts to write that check, because you are not buying a thing. You are buying freedom from worry, freedom from replacement, freedom from that sinking feeling when something breaks and you have to start over. I knew a man, a cobbler, down the street. His name was Giuseppe. He would say, "A good shoe, it doesn't just carry you, it carries your children, because you pass it down. It carries your story, where you walked, what you saw, who you loved." That man, he died 20 years ago, but his shoes, they are still walking on other feet, in other cities, telling stories he never got to finish. Status, it is a broken clock. It looks right twice a day, but it is useless for the journey. Stop buying the upgrade you don't need, the new model, the faster version, the shinier package. Stop paying for the feeling of being current, of being first, of being ahead. It lasts a week, maybe 2, and then it becomes ordinary, background noise, and you start looking for the next fix, the next rush, like an addict chasing a high that gets smaller every time. You know what lasts? A tool that works, that fits your hand, that becomes an extension of your will, a coat that keeps you warm even in the coldest winter, a book that changes how you think, that you return to again and again, like visiting an old friend. These things, they don't lose their value when the next model comes out. They gain value. They become part of you. I have a hammer in this workshop. It was my grandfather's. The handle is smooth, worn down by 3 generations of hands. When I hold it, I can feel all of us working together. My grandfather, my father, and me. All of us building something that lasts, that is quality, not the price tag, not the brand name, but the feeling that you are connected to something bigger than yourself. Let me ask you, how much money did you spend last month on things you cannot find right now? Not the big things, not the rent, not the groceries, not the bills that keep the lights on. I mean the stuff in between, the invisible spending, the death by 1,000 cuts, the subscription you forgot about that charges you every month for a service you used once, maybe twice, the gadget in the drawer, still in its box, with the instructions you never read, the clothes with the tags still on them, hanging in the back of your closet like ghosts of who you thought you would become. You are doing the math in your head right now, aren't you? And the number, it's bigger than you thought, isn't it? Don't punish yourself. Just see it clearly. See it without judgment, without shame. Just see it. Each of those things, it represents a part of you that is gone forever. You traded your freedom for clutter. You traded your time for things that don't serve you. My workshop, it used to be full of broken things, old springs, bent gears, screws that didn't fit anything. I kept them, thinking, I might need this someday. This could be useful. I paid good money for this. One day, I looked around and I realized I was living in a graveyard of maybe. Everything in here was waiting for a future that never came. Each broken piece was a promise I made to myself that I never kept. And the weight of it, all those broken promises, it was crushing me, slowly, like stones piled on my chest. So I cleared it out. I took everything, every piece, every maybe. And I asked myself, have I used this in the last year? If the answer was no, it went. I kept only what I used, what I loved, what served me, truly, not theoretically, not in some imagined future, but right now, today. And you know what happened? I could breathe again. I could think again. I could move without bumping into my own abandoned dreams. Space, it is not empty. It is full of possibility. A clear table, it is not nothing. It is everything waiting to happen. If you want to change your life, decide first what is enough, not what is possible, not what is maximum, but what is enough. Buy only what you need for the first step, not the whole vision, not the fantasy, not the Instagram version, just the first step, the single next action that will move you forward. A life, it is not built in one purchase, in one grand gesture, in one moment of inspiration. It is built in one day, followed by another day, followed by another. You inch toward it, one shoe at a time, one decision at a time, one moment of clarity at a time. I watch people through this window every day. They walk by, carrying bags, so many bags, shopping bags, gift bags, bags full of more bags, and their faces, they look heavier with each one. Their shoulders sag, their steps get slower. They think they are adding to their lives, filling some hole, some emptiness, but really they are subtracting. They are trading what could be for what is right now in their hands. They are trading possibility for possession, freedom for furniture, time for things. I had a customer, a young man, a lawyer. He came in and he said, "Arthur, I need you to fix this watch. It cost me $3,000 and it stopped working after 6 months." I looked at it, I opened it, and I saw immediately what was wrong. It was a fake, a very good fake, but a fake. I showed him, I explained. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I bought it to feel successful. I thought if I wore it, I would become the person who deserves it." He smiled, but it was sad. Instead, I just became a person in debt, wearing a lie. That story, it stayed with me, because it's not about the watch. It's about the story we tell ourselves about what we need to be whole. There is another kind of debt that nobody talks about. Nobody teaches you in school. Nobody warns you when you're young. It is not on paper. It is not in the bank. It doesn't have an interest rate or a payment plan. It is the debt you owe to yourself, and it compounds silently, invisibly, until one day you wake up and you don't recognize the person in the mirror. Every time you say yes to something you don't want, to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, to be liked, you create a debt of resentment. Every time you buy something to fill a hole that is not shaped like money, that is shaped like loneliness or boredom or fear, you create a debt of disappointment, because the thing arrives and the hole is still there. And now you have both the hole and the thing, and less money to actually address what's really wrong. I see it all the time. A man comes in, he wants the most expensive repair. Not because his watch needs it. The watch is fine. A simple cleaning would do. But because he needs to feel like he made the right choice when he bought it. He is paying twice, once with money, once with pride, trying to justify a decision he regrets, but cannot admit even to himself. The hardest lesson I ever learned, and I learned it late, too late, was this: you cannot buy your way out of a feeling. If you are unhappy, a new car will not fix it. It will just be a fast way to stay miserable. If you are lonely, a bigger house will not fill it. It will just give you more rooms to be alone in. If you are lost, a fancy watch will not tell you where to go. It will just tell you very precisely what time it is while you wander. Money, it can buy comfort, yes. It can buy time. Sometimes it can buy freedom, absolutely. But only if you know what you are buying it from and what you are buying it for. Only if you are clear, brutally clear, about what you actually need versus what you think you need versus what advertising told you you need. I had a friend, a good friend. He was a banker, made a lot of money, more money than I will ever see. He bought everything, the car, the house in the country, the watch, the suits, the wife even, he joked. Cost him a fortune. But he was empty. You could see it in his eyes, like looking into a well and hearing nothing when you drop a stone. One day he came to me and he said, "Arthur, I have everything and I have nothing. How did this happen?" I told him, "You spent your whole life earning, but you never decided what for. You never asked, what is the point of all this effort? You just kept score. And now you have a very high score in a game you don't want to play." He died 2 years later, heart attack, at his desk. At the funeral, his son said he was a good provider, and I thought, what a terrible thing to say about a father. Not, he was kind. Not, he was present. Not, he taught me how to live. Just, he provided. Like he was a vending machine, not a man. That haunts me, because I see it everywhere. People working themselves to death, to provide, to accumulate, to build a pile of things that nobody will remember. Nobody at your funeral will say, "He had a really nice watch." They will say, "He was there when I needed him." Or they will say nothing, because you were never there. You were always working, always busy, always somewhere else. I have known people of genuine wealth, real wealth, not just money, who lived as if they were poor. Not because they were stingy, not because they were afraid, but because they thought carefully, deliberately about what they traded their hours for. They knew that every purchase was a choice between one kind of life and another. And I have known people who had nothing, barely enough to eat, living paycheck to paycheck, but spent as if money was a feeling and not a fact, as if the act of spending could fill whatever was missing inside, like they were trying to prove to themselves, to the world, that they were somebody, that they mattered. The goal, it is not to die with money in the bank, sitting there, unused, unspent. That is a failure of imagination, a failure of courage. The goal is to use what you earn to make your life actually bigger. Not bigger in appearance, not bigger in status, but bigger in depth, in meaning, in richness of experience, richer in experience, in the things you have seen, the places you have been, not to check a box, not to post a photo, but to actually be there, to feel the sun on a different continent, to taste food you cannot pronounce, to hear music that changes how you think about sound, richer in health, in the ability to move, to walk, to run, to climb stairs without stopping, to play with your grandchildren without pain, to sleep through the night, to wake up without dread. This is wealth that no bank can hold. Richer in relationships, in people who know you, truly know you, not the version you perform, not the face you show at work, but the real you, the afraid you, the broken you, the hopeful you. People who will drive 3 hours just to sit with you when you are sad. This is the only currency that appreciates over time. Wealth is not owing anyone anything, not money, not favors, not explanations. Walking through the world with your head up, knowing you have done your best, knowing you have been honest, knowing you can sleep without pills, without guilt, without wondering what you should have done differently. Wealth is the quiet pride of a job well done, not praised, not celebrated, not even noticed, just done well, because you care, because it matters to you, because you put your name on it, even if nobody will ever know. I had a customer once, an old professor. He came in every year with the same watch, a simple thing, a Timex, nothing special, maybe $40 when it was new. One day I asked him, "Professor, why don't you buy a better one? You could afford it. I know you could. I've seen your books. You are famous in your field." He smiled and he said, "Arthur, this watch, it was a gift from my wife the day we married. We had nothing then. We could barely afford the rings, but she saved for 6 months to buy me this. It has been on my wrist for every lecture, every discovery, every student I taught, every moment that mattered. Every time I looked at it, I remembered that someone believed in me when I was nobody. Why would I replace a life with a thing?" That man, he understood. He knew that the value is not in the object. It is in the connection it creates, the memory it holds, the story it tells. A $5,000 watch, it tells you the time. A $40 watch, given in love, it tells you who you are. Listen to me. You think you are poor? You think you have nothing? If you can walk, put one foot in front of the other, you are richer than millions who cannot. If you can see the sun, watch it rise, watch it set, paint the sky in colors that have no names, you are richer than those who live in darkness. If you have people who want your time, who ask for your opinion, who miss you when you are gone, then you are the richest person in this world. Don't waste your gold on brass. Don't trade the real for the shiny, the meaningful for the impressive, the lasting for the new. Keep your eyes on the dial and spend your hours like they are the last ones you have, because they are. All of them. Every single one is the last until it isn't. And one day there will be a last one for real. And on that day, you will not wish you had bought a better car. You will wish you had said the things that mattered to the people who mattered while there was still time. I am old now, very old. My hands, they shake sometimes when I work on the small gears, the tiny springs, the delicate jewels. But I still love this. I still wake up every morning and I think, today I get to fix something that is broken. Today I get to make something tick again. The smell of oil, the particular scent of time compressed into liquid, the sound of the ticking, that steady heartbeat, proof that something is still alive, still working, still measuring the hours we have left. The feeling of making something work again, of taking what was silent and giving it a voice. People ask me, Arthur, when will you retire? When will you rest? You've been doing this for 60 years. Don't you want to stop? Don't you want to relax? And I tell them, rest. I have been resting my whole life because I do what I love. Work is only hard when you are doing someone else's dream, when you are building someone else's vision, when you wake up and the day ahead feels like a burden instead of a gift. I never had that. I was lucky. Or maybe I was just stubborn. I refused to trade my hours for things I didn't want. I refused to spend my one life doing work that killed a little bit of me every day. I chose early to be poor, if that's what it took to be free. And I was poor for a long time, very poor. But I was never, not once, unhappy. Because every watch I fixed, it was a puzzle. It was a mystery. It was a conversation with someone who died 100 years ago. Someone who built this thing with their hands. Someone who cared about precision, about beauty, about making something that would outlast them. You want to know the secret to a good life? It is simple. Spend your hours on what cannot be bought. Love, friendship, learning, creating, helping. These things, they cost nothing, and they are worth everything. Spend your money on what will not rust, on experiences, on education, on health, on the tools that let you do what you love. And remember, every time you look at the clock, that time is the only thing you truly own. Everything else, the house, the car, the watch, even your body, it's all borrowed, rented, temporary. But your time, The hours you have left, those are yours, completely yours. And how you spend them, that is the only choice that really matters. One day, my workshop will be quiet. The tools will rest on the bench where I left them. The watches will stop, one by one, until there is no one to wind them. But until then, I will keep fixing what is broken, including, sometimes, especially, the people who walk through that door thinking they need a repair, when what they really need is someone to tell them that they are already enough, that they don't need the gold watch to be valuable, that their worth is not measured in objects. I had a young man come in last week. He was maybe 25. He had just gotten his first big paycheck, and he wanted to buy an expensive watch. He showed me a catalog. He pointed to one. It cost $15,000. He said, "This is it. This is the one that will show everyone that I made it." I looked at him and I said, "Made what? Made money? That watch won't show them that. It will just show them that you can spend money. And spending is the easiest thing in the world. A child can spend. A fool can spend. Making money, that takes work. But knowing what to do with it, that takes wisdom." He was quiet. He put the catalog away. He said, "What would you buy if you were me?" I said, "I would buy the skills that money cannot take away. I would buy books, courses, experiences. I would buy time with people who are better than me, who can teach me. I would invest in becoming someone who doesn't need a watch to prove their worth." He left without buying anything, but he thanked me. He said, "You saved me from making a very expensive mistake." I said, "I didn't save you. You saved yourself. You asked the right question. Most people never do. Because that is the only currency that matters. Not the money in your pocket, but the questions in your head. Not what you own, but what you know. Not what you buy, but who you become in the process of deciding what to buy. Don't waste your gold on brass. Keep ticking. And when your time comes, when the mainspring finally unwound, make sure you spent it on things that mattered. Goodbye for now. The door is always open.